The Flash, The Marvels, Black Adam, Ant-Man and Wasp, Quantumania, Shazam, Fear of the Gods, and Blue Beetle all have one thing in common. They were major failures in the box office. Major failures. To the point where The Marvels, which recently released, is the worst MCU-rated movie in the box office right now. The Flash, Black Adam, and Blue Beetle are the 3 worst box office numbers for DC they've had in decades, and WB's had in decades too. And Shazam! Fear of the Gods didn't even really do anything in the box office at all for anything. Now, the reason this is bad for movies, and this isn't just superhero movies. You've seen that across spectrum with movies, across different genres. But they're not as bad of a failure, this majority of them, as the superhero movies have been in the box office. Now, people say, well, that's because of, press release and the actor strike and the writer strike. But this was happening before then. And there was still press tours for the Marvels after the strike had ended. They were able to do press. People didn't just show up because they didn't care to. Now you can say, people like to say, well, that's, it's because superhero movies, people don't care about them and this and that. That's not true. And we have facts to back it up. Those facts are Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, Spider-Man No Way Home, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, the Super Mario movie that came out. All those movies I just mentioned did very, very, very well in the box office. Across the Spider-Verse, Spider-Man No Way Home were 2 major successes for Sony to the point where Across the Spider-Verse, I believe it's said to be the biggest animated film in the box office to date. And so the idea that superhero movies are slowly dying out is not a factual piece of thing to say. What is factual is that the idea for stories in superhero movies are changing. You're seeing Spider-Man No Way Home did a multiverse movie. Then you get Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse. They did very well. Whether or not it's because the multiverse movie aside doesn't really matter. But then The Flash comes out, and it's a multiverse movie. We've already had 3 of them back to back. The story is just not there. When you look at the controversy around Ezra Miller, that was a factor. When you look at the story, that was a factor. When you look at just the trailers, that very well could have been a factor for people who didn't like the trailers. But when you see Michael Keaton and Chicago, you're showing up. If you want to. Regarding Black Adam, that film was getting hate from the get-go. It wasn't really, that popular to do. No one really wanted to see it. And that's why it failed. Even though I personally think Black Adam is one of the best superhero films out there, it still didn't do well. And I also forgot to mention the Batman Matt Reeves did very well in the box office as well. I forgot to mention that one. But nonetheless, we'll see how the Batman Part 2 does. It could flop, depending. But I think the Batman, given it was such a huge success in 2021 or 2022, whenever the hell it came out, it's been a long time. Whenever Part 2 comes out, I think in a couple of years from now, probably, I would expect, we'll see how well that movie does. But there's a lot of support around that universe that Matt Reeves is building. Whereas the MCU has been slowly dying out since Endgame and Spider-Man No Way Home because people just don't care for the movies anymore. They've lost that flair that, the OG movies did before Endgame, even during Endgame. And Spider-Man No Way Home brought that kind of back. It still had some, problems, but I think that's why you're seeing the MCU movies fail. The DCEU movies are failing, I think, solely ignoring Ezra Miller, ignoring the writing, ignoring the stories being presented throughout all these movies in the DCU that have flopped. Black Adam, Blue Beetle, The Flash, and other ones that have recently released, and probably the Aquaman, whatever the hell, Sea of Worlds, Lost of Worlds, whatever the hell it's called. Can you tell I don't care? Those movies and Aquaman 2 will probably flop based on one major factor, James Gunn. Now, before you go into comments and say, well, Matthew doesn't like James Gunn, blah, blah, blah. This is why I'm saying this. James Gunn came on and said that these movies are not canon. They don't matter. The Flash happened. Nothing is going to come of it. Black Adam happened, nothing came of it because Superman came back and then instantly got thrown out. Blue Beetle happened, not relevant. Aquaman 2 comes out, not relevant. James Gunn put that precedent in. If he didn't say a single damn word about it, I'm not saying these movies would be doing well. I think they'd still be failing the box office, but they would have done better than they did. They'd still be a flop, but they would be better than they've been doing. The reason I say that is because it matters what people say about the film. And when you look at it as a whole scope, when you see that James Gunn is straight up saying the president of DC now, or the head of DC movies, I should say, not the president, but the head of DC movies, is straight up saying that these movies don't matter or are not canon, why would you waste your time watching them? Why would you waste your time going to a theater for not 30 minutes, like in 2 hours and 30 minutes, some of them, I think one of them was 3 hours. Why would you go there to waste your time watching a movie that has nothing to do with anything at all? There's no point in it. So when people hear James Gunn say that, at least to me especially, why would I waste my time on that? There's no point. I go to watch the movie for a story. If the story's not good, you lose my interest. If it's a connected universe like these movies all are supposed to be, when you say it's not important, why would I waste my time for it? Especially when I don't care about the story. When the story's a repeat of what we've already got, like a multiverse movie, or a villain origin story. There's no point in it. Now, keep in mind, I didn't watch Blue Beetle. I didn't watch The Marvels. I didn't watch Quantum Mania. I didn't watch Shazam 2. And I'm not watching Aquaman 2. So I don't know how those films went. I did watch The Flash and I watched Black Adam. I liked Black Adam. I didn't like The Flash. I made that very clear. But we can't ignore the fact that these films are all failures in the box office and have successfully made WB just say, we're done with the DCEU and here's James Gunn and we're going to DCEU now pretty soon here, I would hope. But I'm pretty sure Superman Legacy isn't the first movie of that universe. I don't know. We'll find out, I'm sure. But the point is, if we don't already know, I don't remember. I haven't followed any news of DCEU. I'm waiting until something happens, actually, because I'm fed up with it. But the point I'm trying to make is that people always say, well, the box office numbers mean everything. No, it doesn't. All the box office numbers tell us is that people don't show up, which is important, but you can't really do anything with that unless you actually care to. And we have nobody right now in studios wanting to do something. Doing different stories, telling different stories, showing different stories. Bringing different heroes in the superhero world of Marvel and DC. Doing different ways to promote your movie. That's what can be done. But they don't want to do it. Either A, they don't know how to, or B, they do, but they don't care. And then they blame people for not showing up. When they're the reason we don't show up. There needs to be a precedent set in this new world of movies and superhero movies, movies in general, but, you know, I'm a superhero content creator. I kind of have to talk about superhero movies here, but the matter of fact is that superhero movies are not dying. Let's get that clear. People are not losing interest in superhero movies on a wide referendum. Because Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is a key example of that. It succeeded predictions. It succeeded Sony so much to the point where they're gonna make another one very, very soon here. I think they're already writing it from what I heard. So, and that's what I don't know how reliable that is, so don't quote me on that. But it really is just the way you look at it. You may be like, well, superhero movies are dying. When the Batman Part 2 releases a couple of years from now, and it does well in the box office, come back to this video and tell me I was right. Because superhero movies are not dying. It depends what genre it's in, what universe it's in. The MCU movies have been dying for a while now. Let's be real. They've been dying out. Because there's nothing to bring people back. Now, if they bring RDJ back, right, that box office will explode. Because RDJ will become back as Iron Man. Those are millions and millions and millions and millions of Marvel fans, including myself, who would go to a theater and watch that. But the stories they have now don't work. Because a majority of these stories don't matter. Black Panther Wakanda Forever was an amazing story. Granted, I didn't really watch it, but it was an amazing story. And I know that because the reviews were really well. Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, I watched very little of that movie. I didn't really care for it, but people did. Not a lot of people, but the box office did well for those two movies. And the matter of the fact is, it depends on story. It depends what story you're going to tell and how you're going to tell it. And WB, Sony, Marvel, DC have had problems over the last several years where they fail on that. Morbius for Sony. Again, the Marvels, Quantumania, all for Marvel. Black Adam, The Flash, Blue Beetle, Shazam 2, soon to be Aquaman 2, are all on DC and WB and James Gunn now. And again, James Gunn is the prior reason why DC movies are failing. You go out there and you try to look at social media, why people aren't showing up to these movies, it's because James Gunn said they don't matter. They're not canon. Why would you waste your time watching that? James Gunn screwed over his own people, his own company. Now, I'm not going to case for James Gunn to be fired because I've already done that. But the matter of the fact is, on some level at least, but the matter of the fact is, quit saying superhero movies are dying. They're not. They're very much alive. And the matter of the fact is that it just depends on the story. It depends how much importance all these movies have, and they'll do well. Also depends on the actors. If you're putting in a criminal, you're probably not going to get a lot of money out of it, but like the Flash movie. But the point is, box office numbers don't matter before a movie. You know, when those predictions come in saying, well, Black Adam's going to bomb in the box office. It may be right, sure, but that shouldn't stop you from going to watch the movie if you want to watch it. That's another factor that people seem to forget about. You have your own opinions. You have the right to your own opinions. Don't listen if anyone tells you, well, this is the fact and this and this. Your opinions matter way more than facts in most cases. Not every case, but a majority of cases, your opinion matters more than facts, but especially when it comes to box office numbers. Box office numbers proven time and time again. While yes, they show people don't show up, again, another main reason is because the box office number predictions show that these movies suck. Or early reviews come out, people who saw the movies early said the movies sucked. Some people don't show up because they listen to it. You have your own opinion. Develop them. It isn't that hard. You develop your own opinion by watching the movie you want to watch. Don't let other people dictate your opinions just because you don't want to go out and watch a movie. Now, if you don't like it to begin with, great. That's your opinion. You have the right to do that. But don't just look at a bad review or a bad box office prediction number and say, I'm not going to go watch this movie. If you find another reason not to go watch that movie, you really don't want to watch it. Or just choose not to watch it. You don't like what you heard about it? Fine. But don't let it dictate your decisions. Don't let those personal opinions, which tend to be negative like 90% of the time, if you haven't noticed that, just early reviews, 90% of the time they tend to be negative. And sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong, in my opinion. Some of you may think they're all wrong. Some of you may think all those early reviews are always right. But that's the beauty of us having opinions. We have the right to believe in what we want to believe in, the right to speak our minds, at least obviously limitations on freedom of speech, but still. And also the right to give our own opinions if we so want to, but also not allow other people to dictate our opinions. We have that right to do so. And we should be able to act like it. So let's stop with this nonsense that if an early review comes out and it's really bad, we won't go watch the movie, or box office numbers come out and it's really bad, so we won't go watch the movie. Just go watch whatever movie you want to watch. It's your life. It doesn't matter. And you know what? If the box office number fails, then we'll talk about it. It'll be like a one-day thing, I'm sure. Well, for several months for the movie. But for me, I'll talk about it in a video. I'll discuss why it probably failed. Listen to you who comment on these videos, people on social media, giving public opinions. And then there you go. And then we move on. We go to the next film. If it fails, it fails. It does well, it does well. But there's no legitimate factor to say that superhero movies are dying. there's no legitimate fact to say movies are dying, because there's arguments to back up that they are not dying. It just depends what the stories are. It depends what who the actors that are in it are, and what the movie's accomplishing. And if it's a part of a shared universe, is it canon? Because DC's suffering that right now with the canon stuff. Marvel's suffering that with the storytelling. DC suffered with the actors, with The Flash, with Ezra Miller particularly. So that's what's happening here. And people need to really stop just digging into box office numbers and early reviews and saying, yeah, this movie sucks, even though you didn't watch it. Like I said, I didn't watch 90% of the movies I talked about in this video. I didn't trash them once. All I know are the stories that have been told in these movies, which are either repeats of other stories or nothing different. So, again, the story matters. Actors matter. And we need better stories. In some cases, like Ezra Miller's case, if they had replaced Ezra Miller for, say, Grant Gustin, that movie probably would have done really well because it's Grant Gustin. And we all love Grant as a Flash. Way more than we love Ezra Miller. Or even like Ezra Miller, quite frankly. So, in my view, that's what it's about. Could be wrong, you can disagree, that's fine. I'm just giving my straight up opinion. And I think, it's what it really comes down to. Our opinions. So don't let early reviews tell you what you can and cannot do. Don't let early reviews dictate your decision to go watch a movie. It's your choice. So let's act like it. Because I'm sick of it. Thank you for watching. I know it's a long video and I kind of went on a rant a little bit at the end there. But thank you for watching nonetheless. Have a good day. Have a good night. Stay safe. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.